Welcome to Advance. This game was played in the FIDE Swiss 2025. We have with the black pieces Arjun Erigaisi, a really strong strong player and really a master of chaos. And with the black pieces, we have a very strong. With the white pieces, we have a very strong Armenian grandmaster. His name is Haik Martirosyan, and yeah, he's a very strong player, and that definitely shows. And you'll understand with this game. Here, he starts with d4. We have knight to f6, c4, g6, and knight to f3. We go into the king's Indian defense. Bishop to g7, g3, castles, and bishop to g2, d6. Castles now, knight bd7, knight to c3, and just e5. And we have h3 now, not allowing any bishop jumps or knight jumps in the future. And we have rook to e8, e4, and just e captures. So he goes for a weird line here, Arjun. Knight captures first play, knight to c5, and after this rook to e1, he goes for h6. Doesn't allow any bishop jumps, makes some breathing room for the king. Knight to b3 now, asking for trades. If you allow the trade to happen, or if you trade here as well, the queen comes in, or even if not the queen, I just capture towards the center. My position is absolutely amazing. I'm with the white pieces. I'm most likely going to be pushing. So it's like, it's something you don't want to do, because you know you're the strongest person here in this tournament. You don't want to go for draws, and that's why knight to e6, not going for that, but now just f4. And f4 is a very nice inclusion, because you know, once the knight goes back, you have to understand that there are going to be attacking moves here, and king's Indian defense actually deals with attacking chances of the white pieces very nicely, and it gives you a chance to be aggressive as well. At the same time, you can defend really nicely. But here just a5, a4 was playing, not allowing any further pushes, h5, and now just bishop to e3. And here in this position, Arjun shows why he is who he is. He goes for h4 in this position. That's a crazy move. Not because of the fact that, you know, it's a blunt. It's definitely not a good move. It's an inaccuracy. But sometimes, you know, even you have to bluff your opponent, and this is basically the bluffing part here. Arjun is definitely bluffing, and here he goes g4, and he's saying, what are you doing? What have you done? Why have you just allowed these pawns to exist on the board? You don't have any squares for your pieces. How are you going to survive this? Well, Arjun survives it in a very brilliant manner. He goes for g5. That's absolutely amazing. Now he pushes all his pawns, and he's saying, well, if you want to attack, well, just go ahead with it. Just f captures now, and not capturing. If you capture, you just completely lost. So he just knight to d7, but now just comes knight to d4, knight to e5, and just knight to f5. So a lot of knight moves, but this knight is going to be extremely strong. You cannot capture that pawn for the moment, because if you capture it, you just become completely lost. And this knight is going to be trading here, because you want to eliminate the strongest defender of the black's pieces, and somewhere along the line it's going to be difficult for Arjun, but if he's able to survive, his position will be absolutely spectacular. He just knight captures on c4 first, grabbing a pawn. Bishop to c1 now, going this bishop move back is such a classy move. I cannot even tell you that, because I can only show you, because even if I would be able to explain it to you, I don't think so most of you would be able to understand, because the idea behind this bishop move is just to re-maneuver this bishop towards this diagonal wherever required. And also at the same time, if the queen gets inside the position somewhere along the line, you're going to love this fact that the bishop can exist on here as well. So getting the bishop back is a very nice choice by Haik, and yeah, this is a very nice move. Here just c6 now, and knight captures on g7, king captures, and just e5. And e5 is a really nice move, opening up the center, saying that, you know, your king side is very weak, you're not going to capture. Well, let me just open up lines and try to attack your king. Here just d5, not allowing that, and that's the best move in this position. b3, but b3 with the idea as the same I told you now. But here just knight to b6, and knight to b6 is just a waiting move, seeing what white has in this position. But yeah, Arjun just plays it spectacularly here. This move just did not make sense to me. I mean, why would you, in the midst of an attack, when you can get the bishop into the game, when you can get the rook into the game, where you can double up maybe the rooks into the game, why would you go for a prophylactic move? It's like, it's sometimes, you know, showing a bit of too much class is also a bit of an issue, because now I know prophylactic moves are classy moves, but you know, it doesn't mean you have to play them in midst of an attack. You just wasted a tempo for no reason at all. After knight to b6, rook to a2 was the strongest move in this position, because after knight captures on g5 now, rook to f2, and you can understand there's a lot of trouble here, because even if you go for a move like knight to e6 back, now comes queen to d2, and yes, this is just very difficult now. Rook to h8, stopping that, but just rook e to f1. And how do you even fare here? If you go for queen to e7, giving up the queen for two rooks, let's say rook captures, rook, queen captures, rook captures, and king captures, queen to f2 is still coming, and after this queen to f6, king to d7, and queen captures on h8, you're just not surviving this game. You're just giving up a free rook, and even if you go for something else, most likely the position would have ended up here only, with your king being very weak. So here after knight to b6, we have king to h1, and this king to h1 is somewhere along the line, he's definitely going to regret this move. But here just knight to d7 now, but just queen to f3, and just knight d to c5. We have rook to b1 now, b6, but just b4, now just pushing the pawn all the way. And here just a captures, rook captures, and just bishop to a6, not even worrying about this pawn. I mean, but you cannot capture it. This is the whole point about it. He just queen to f6 check, and I think trading would have been very, very nice. But Arjun is not here to. He pushed all those pawns with h4 and g5 to try and create chances right after the opening, and it was an inaccuracy, but it still worked out in his favor. It's still a draw now. He did not take. I mean, White had the opportunity. White had the chances to actually go for the win, and he had the initiative as well. He threw it all away, and now it's Arjun's chance to take it all away. So after going for a queen captures, it's most likely going to be a draw. That's why Arjun did not go for this. He still takes the risk. He goes for king to g8 and queen to h6. If you allow it, I mean, it's gonna happen. Knight to d3 now, just going for a very nice fork. And yeah, this is how do you even deal with this? Hey, just g6, and g6 is a very, very strong move. Just f captures, and yes, you can capture this right away, but his opponent first went rook to f1. Rook to f1 with the idea that once you capture, then the rook joins in, and it's just completely going to be over. Here, the best move in this position is rook to a7. Rook to a7 with the idea that whenever you go for queen captures, rook to g7, and you have nothing in this position. I mean, this is defended by the queen, this is defended by the rook, this is defended by the bishop, and yeah, your queen is under attack. You have to move it. You don't have that many squares, and yes, everything is defended. There is nothing you can do. Even rook cannot join the party now because your queen is hanging. So yeah, there is nothing you can do in this position. Queen to h5 seems like a decent move. It's not, because this knight caps on b4 and you've just hung a complete rook. I'm attacking your other rook, and I'm in a completely winning position now because my king is safe. I'm material up. You have nothing in this position. But after rook to f1, we have knight captures on e5. Knight captures on e5 is the second best move. You're just defending now the pawn, so you cannot capture. You cannot capture this because the queen is protecting it, and knight is now. These knights are just absolutely creating a wall against the king and the queen. Here you cannot do anything. But in this position, you could go for a very nice move with rook to e1, and rook to e1 is a line that, I was so shocked by. It just shocked me to my very core because now queen to f6. Here I saw, I mean, till here it's just very easy to see. You're defending, you attack first my knight, because my knight moves, then you capture, so I obviously have to defend. But the line that follows, that I was, after analyzing it, after finding out these moves, was just absolutely crazy, because now comes rook captures on b6, just going for a complete pawn in midst of an attack. And this is the best move in this position. Now you go knight to d3, now forking this, and yeah, what do you do? How do you even proceed here? The only move in this position is knight captures on d5, sacrificing another piece, because here after c captures, no, there is no rook captures in this position because queen and the rook are both guarding it. So now you go for rook to f1, attacking the queen. There is no checks in this position. That's the whole point about it. And now if you go for queen to g7, asking for a queen trade, now you first go for bishop captures on d5 because this is pinned. And now after this, queen caps on h6, bishop captures, knight to c5. Now you go for this bishop caps on a8, and bishop caps on a8 is the issue in this position, that you can actually if you capture this, which seems like such a normal move, it's a draw. Then this is the point about this position, and you have to be very, very careful in this position. You cannot capture this, and because then you allow rook to f6, and after rook to e8, it's still a very, very dangerous position, because knights are defending each other. This knight is also defending the bishop, and you are up a piece, but this pass pawn is a bit too strong, and yeah, somewhere along the line, I mean, it could bite you. It could bite you where you don't want it to. So now here after knight caps on e5, rook to d1 was played. Rook to d1 is not at all a good move, but now rook to a7, he finds the defensive resource, and now it's going to be very, very dangerous. He just knight captures on d5, c captures, rook captures, now attacking the queen. Only move queen to b8, but now just comes bishop to b2, and it looks very scary. I mean, queen is here. This can be sacrificed maybe somewhere along the line. This looks so scary, but Arjun defends it correctly. He goes for rook to h7, because either you move the queen away and you accept that you don't have enough material in the endgame, or you just go for this endgame, which starts with bishop captures on e5. I'm also attacking your queen. Now rook caps on h6, bishop caps on b8, rook captures, and rook to d6. Yes, white is down a piece, but white has a very strong pass pawn, and here knight to c5, but now just comes g5, rook to h5, rook caps on g6, and king to h7, rook to c6, rook captures on g5, and now comes rook caps on h4. You have to be careful. Don't fall for such mistakes of going for king to g7, because this would come with a check. Whenever you then go back, now this rook is going to be joining the party, and rook's on the 7th rank. You're just completely lost. So here king to g8. Now Arjun plays it precisely. Obviously he's a very, very strong player. Here rook to b4 now, but now just comes this knight captures on a4. A beautiful tactic by Arjun, because you cannot go for this. If you go for this bishop to b5, you're just completely lost. Rook a to c4, bishop captures. I mean, this pawn is pushing. I have two rooks, you have a rook and a bishop. Your exchange down, your pawn down. I mean, it's just going to be, it's an outside pass pawn. You cannot do anything here. So here after this, rook to d6 was played, not going for any of that, but now just bishop to b5, and it's Arjun is completely winning, but it would still take a few more moves. Here, rook to e5, rook to g4 check, king to f7, rook to h6, and now just rook to g8 asking for a rook trade, rook moves, and now just going for this check. But here, just bishop to f3 was played, but now just comes this knight to c5, rook goes to b4 attacking the bishop, and rook to e3. This is a very nice defensive resource and attacking resource at the same time Arjun found in this position, because now bishop to g2 was played, but just rook to e1 check, and you have to move your king. And once the king is moved, you play rook to e2, and yes, this is a very very fine move, because now you cannot do anything. I mean, this is falling. First of all, if you go here, then this would be checkmate, and if you don't go for it, let's say you try to go here, then just comes this beautiful knight to d3. And knight to d3 with the idea that, I mean, first white has to move, so obviously you're going to capture this, but I'll capture this. Once you go here, I'll go knight to d3, and here you won't have any checks in the position because my knight is guarding it. And now the problem with this is actually this would be checkmate, and you're not guarding that square anyhow, so yeah, there is nothing you can do. And that's why Haik Martirosyan resigned the game. He knew that checkmate is following, or otherwise severe material loss, and yeah, he realized this and he resigned the game. And what an incredible game, full of roller coaster. First Haik was winning, and then Arjun just kept on pushing. He instilled absolute chaos into the game with those pawn pushes. I mean, that was just absolutely spectacular, just going for those pawn pushes right from the opening. He was winning here after finding this p3, but he had to find this, and I mean, even after that it was not enough. And yeah, this position just absolutely really really collapsed, and it was absolutely spectacular game. But at the very end, Arjun was able to come out on top simply because of the fact that he played a spectacular game. He kept on pushing, he kept on taking risks, and yeah, he, I mean, if he didn't win, it would be really, really a sad thing. But yeah, he came out on top and he showed his brilliancy. That's who Arjun is. So yeah, thank you all for watching. I'll be coming back with games like these, so stay tuned to the channel, stay updated, and I'll be seeing you guys very, very soon. Thank you all for watching.